relationships, elevated the presence of Zion among elected and appointed officials, diversified the board, broadened the base of contributors, launched a capital campaign, and led Zion to a new era. He has served as the General Secretary of the Board of Personnel Services for the CME Church and serves on a number of college boards. He is and has been the glue that keeps it all together. Greet now Zion Board Chair, Dr. Tyrone Davis.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. It's a dangerous thing to give a microphone to a preacher. It's even more dangerous when it's a retired preacher. So, to protect you, I wrote it down. First, let me say thank you for your presence tonight. And despite the rain, and this being election day, tonight's event is our largest thus far in both numbers and in attendance and finance. This means a lot to us because it was just 15 years ago we didn't even have a bank account. So we have come a mighty long ways. Now, with your help over these past years, much of the debris has been removed, and we've been able to keep the cemetery properly cut thanks to Mr. Darrell Exum with Clean Cut Landscaping, who is with us tonight with a bronze table. Stand up, Brother Darrell. Yes. He not only receives, but he takes, because we pay him well to keep it well manicured, and it looks good. In fact, we've grown to the extent that we have received a grant and have applied for additional grants to further improve this historic cemetery. Special thanks to our sponsors, whose numbers have also grown, as you will see in the program, and whose tables take up our first 3 rows here. You are wonderful, and we're so thankful. Before I sit down, let me ask all the members of our board of directors and our advisory committee to stand that you might recognize and salute them for their great work and continuing support. All my board members and advisory committee members. Thank you so much. Again, you are wonderful, and we're so grateful for you. I hope you enjoyed the meal. And please enjoy the remainder of the evening. Thank you.
He wasn't kidding. He kept it brief. Okay. All right, our next speaker serves as the chair of the program committee for this event and has done a tremendous job. He will also help us to connect the dots between Bill Street and Zion Cemetery. Please welcome Ken Hall to the stage. He will be joined by Miss Elaine Turner, Zion's own local historian, who is also the executive director of the Slave Haven Underground Railroad System, or Railroad Museum. Ken and Elaine, welcome to the stage.
We could not talk about from Beale Street to Zion without talking about W.C. Handy, and we cannot and must not talk about W.C. Handy without Elaine Turner. Elaine Turner has pioneered preservation in Memphis in a remarkable way. She is knowledgeable, she is a great ambassador to the city, and she definitely is in this program. We want to talk to you a little bit tonight about 2 people that are interred in Zion Cemetery. Florence Handy, an infant daughter of W.C. Handy, and Jim Turner, who was a fiddle player with W.C. Handy's band. It's a couple of pretty decent stories. I think it's helpful to get the context to talk about Handy first, and there's no better expert within 5 or 10 states than Elaine Turner. Elaine, will you tell us a little bit?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Ken, for those kind remarks. All right, I am so glad to be able to tell you about W.C. Handy. William Christopher Handy, the father of the blues, was born November 16, 1863 in Florence, Alabama. As the son and grandson of African Methodist Episcopal ministers, Handy's first exposure to music occurred in the church. He found himself instantly consumed by the soul-stirring sounds of sacred hymns and Negro spirituals. However, he was also intrigued by the work songs of the black laborers and field hands as they sang songs of toil and triumph. Their mournful music forged the basis of the blues that he wrote later. He then began to play and sing popular music and traveled throughout the South with the Mahara Minstrels and other bands. As a teenager, Handy met Jim Turner, who had come to Florence, Alabama from Memphis, and he played with his band. It was at this time that Handy learned about an intriguing street in Memphis called Beale Street. In Handy's own word from his autobiography, Father of the Blues, Handy stated, Jim Turner talked about Beale Street in Memphis, where life is a song from dawn to dawn. He describes dark town dandies and highbrow belles. He recalled the glitter and finery of their latest fashions. Finally, he planted in my heart, Handy says, a seed of discontent, a yearning for Beale Street, and the exciting universe that it typified. He was so impressed by the fascinating stories that Jim Turner told about Beale Street that he wanted to see it for himself. Handy decided he was going to take the train from Florence, Alabama, to see Beale Street and Memphis. He was not disappointed. Coming from the small town of Florence, he got the opportunity to see what the big city looked like, especially Beale Street. Now, after forming his own band, Handy gained popularity as an excellent musician and became band leader of Alabama A&M College in Huntsville, Alabama. He later moved to Birmingham, Alabama, and then to Clarksdale, Mississippi, with his band. So while living in Clarksdale, Handy was recommended by Jim Turner to come to Memphis to become band leader of the Knights of Pythian fraternal organization. Shortly thereafter, Jim Turner returned to Memphis himself and was hired by Handy to play in his band. How about that? So arriving in Memphis in 1905, Handy wrote the first blues song in 1909 for a mayoral campaign. A mayoral campaign, we got that going on today. The song for E.H. Crump called Mr. Crump, which later became the Memphis Blues in 1912. It was from the Memphis Blues that the blues was born and the face of American music forever changed. Many of Handy's blues songs, including Beale Street Blues and the St. Louis Blues, were written on Beale Street. Handy started his own music publishing company on Beale Street with his business partner, Harry Pace. It was called Pace and Handy. In 1918, Handy moved the company to New York and enjoyed a successful music publishing company business on world-famous Broadway. Because of Handy putting Memphis on the international map with his music, Handy Park on Beale Street was named in honor of the father of the blues in 1931, and his statue was erected on Beale Street, the first statue of an African American in the city of Memphis, and that was in 1960. Handy's friendship with Jim Turner remained until Jim Turner's death in 1910. I am sure Jim Turner was there with Handy when his infant daughter, Florence, who was 14 months old, was laid to rest in Zion Cemetery in 1908. I'm sure Jim Turner was there to play a comforting melody on his fiddle. Handy certainly must have returned to Zion Cemetery when Jim Turner was buried there to play a song for him on his trumpet when the funeral hearse bore this talented musician from Beale Street to Zion. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. It is hard to state adequately how important Handy is not only to Memphis and the Mid-South, but to America. When Handy wrote the Memphis Blues, the Mayor Crump song, he got $100 for it. But the publisher who had the rights to the song made thousands and thousands of dollars. And W.C. Handy said, "Oh, I think I will start my own publishing company." And that is an empowerment. And he published for years and years and years. So it is a remarkable story. And Elaine, I believe you told me that Handy's 150th birthday is coming up November 16th, just in about 6 weeks. So I'm hoping we see a little citywide celebration. It's very much deserved. Now, we got into this Jim Turner business because a man out of Michigan called and said, "We understand Turner is buried in Zion." And we said, yeah, he probably is. But we don't know exactly where. There's some stones missing. But what is special about that, and there's an insert in your program booklet, is that there will be a marker dedication on October the 14th at 11 a.m. in Zion. These nice folks with the Killer Blues Society, they mark graves of blues musicians. And we invite everyone here tonight to come on the 14th. Now, why does this man deserve a marker other than basic human dignity, as we all do? It turns out that after I spent about a month literally going to multiple libraries, digging in archives, going on the internet, talking to blues and early music historians in Memphis and Clarksdale and New York, there is no real biography of this man. I can't find a photo of this man. That's why we have a drawing. And this is the man who brought W.C. Handy to Memphis. This is a huge impact. This is a huge oversight. Jim Turner is someone we need to celebrate. I did find some sources. There's a wonderful book, if you haven't encountered Beale Street Dynasty by Preston Lauterbach, you ought to. If you want to go back a little bit further, it's about 1934, Lieutenant George Washington Lee. Now, there's a street downtown, and you're saying, who is this man? This was one of the first African-American officers in the U.S. military in World War I. There's another trailblazer. Lieutenant Lee, as he was known the rest of his life, wrote the definitive history of Beale Street in the 30s. So between Preston and Lieutenant Lee and a couple of other folks, Handy's own biography from 1941, we pulled together a few bits and pieces, but not a true full picture of Turner. But it's very interesting what we found. I just wrote down a few things. I'm not going to keep you here all night, but we could talk about Jim Turner for a long time. From Preston Lauterbach, violinist Jim Turner, Handy's early mentor and later colleague, is the missing link in American music, an unknown, unrecorded artist who bridged the improvised, unlettered Beale Street sound of the 19th century to come to what is today mainstream 20th century pop. Turner had become a traveling musician by the 1880s. He ranged all around the states of the Mid-South. In 1887, Jim Turner was emerging as Beale Street's first star. He played violin, the lead instrument that attracted the most ambitious, flashy players, and he got all the girls. Born with blessed magical hands in Arkansas in 1869, Turner had grown up in the Beale Street environment. He knew how to fiddle high and low, from the classics to the barn dance reels and everything in between. He was a trick violinist. He could imitate sounds. He could do anything. If the music looked like it wasn't reaching the audience, he would jump off the stage and start singing and dancing until people got behind him. He had a band of his own called the Chickasaw Band, and they traveled to gigs in Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, and they spread the name and the legend of Beale Street in all of those places when they went. That's what attracted 14-year-old W.C. Handy to come and find out about this magical place called Beale Street. Handy says, when I was a boy, 14, he came to my hometown with the Chickasaw Band of Memphis to play for a land sale, as Florence was then on the boom. Jim got a contract for the band and orchestra to play in Russellville, not far away, and induced me to play hooky from school in order to take the alto part of the brass band, for which he paid me $8 for one day's work. He normally, Handy says later, made about $3 a day, so this is a big thing. Only his father did not care for the devil's music, and I think he got a whooping for skipping school and playing in the dance band. Jim brought more than just a fiddle and a broken heart to Florence, Alabama. He brought a glimpse of another world. Those were the days of the quadrilles, the lancers, the polkas, the shotskis, the mazurkas, and the reels, and the country music, and all of it. It's a day of many genres. It's not just one thing. And we find this today on Beale Street. We find some of the best players in the world. Some of them play for tips. But they've done their 10,000 hours and more. And they can hold their own with anybody, anywhere. And it's pretty impressive to hear authentic Beale Street music, even to this day. For a time, Turner and Handy traveled with the Maharad Minstrels, and then they formed their other bands. Turner hired Handy. Handy hired Turner. They played together for years and years. Gus Cannon, the great jug band player of the 1920s, talks about Jim Turner. The music scene around Clarksdale was fresh and flowering by the turn of the century, and Jim Turner was generally thought of as the fiddler of the Delta and Hill Country in northwest Mississippi. Candidate Crump caught the public eye with the help of Handy's wonderful immortal song, but Jim Turner introduced Handy to Crump. That's pretty impressive stuff. Turner didn't survive to see his music ascend. He died of pneumonia May 20th, 1910, in a tiny rear apartment on Turley Street behind Churches Park, 41 years old. Left a wife and a daughter, and left the great unknown legacy of American music. That's our Jim Turner. We hope to see you at the cemetery on the 14th. And we had, yes, absolutely. Our MC will tell you, I guess, what is next, but we're just going to channel a little Jim Turner by the most remarkable young man, whose name is Gerald Walker, who is a musician and a composer and an arranger, and he has done so much at such a young age, I'm embarrassed to tell you how old I am. You want to, or let's see what we're supposed to do. I'm off script. There he is. He is joined by the leader of the Sanctuary Jazz Orchestra, Mr. Johnny Yancey, on trumpet. So we have Handy and Turner in the house tonight. How about that? Fellas, why don't y'all get closer to the mic? We want to make sure you hear this fiddle music. All right.
give them another round of applause. All right, let me find my place. Okay, there we go. Up next, we have Miss Rose Flanoral, who is a unique and precious gift to this community and beyond. She ensures the great causes are beneficiaries of the corporate contribution she manages for FedEx. National and global organizations can count on Rose for support when they are challenged with crisis and disaster, and Rose is always there. She directs global philanthropy for FedEx and has been a longtime member of the National Civil Rights Museum Board and committed supporter of Zion. Please welcome Ms. Rose Flanoral to present the Public Service Award, which is named in her honor. Rose.
Thanks so much, Kamitra. Appreciate that. Baseball great Jackie Robinson once said, "A life is not important except in the impact it has on other lives. A life is not important except in the impact it has on other lives." I am so honored to introduce two deserving individuals who contribute immensely to the education and to the transformation of this community. Two individuals whose work and service impacts other lives. The first Public Service Award recipient is one I've known for some time now. As stated, I serve on this board. Russ Wigington, president of the, as Beverly used to say, the National Civil Rights Museum, who has been involved with Zion for over 20 years, much of which was during his tenure at Rhodes College, where he and the college were deeply engaged with Zion. Without Russ's support, Zion may have never built the strong relationship with the college that it has now. Russ is a published scholar, a major fundraiser, a consultant on education reform, and a servant leader who lends his time and expertise to countless boards and individuals throughout this community. We appreciate all this great work with Zion, and we are happy and honored to recognize him tonight. Please help me congratulate Dr. Russ Wigington, our first Public Service Award recipient. Am I supposed to pick an award over here? I can do it for you. All right, all right.
Can I get a picture with Beverly?
Come on, Rose, come on.
And Rose.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
You put them to you.
Thank you so much. You all may think I was joking when I said, can I get a picture with Beverly and Rose, but I meant that. Beverly Robinson led the National Civil Rights Museum beautifully for a really long time, and I'm honored to follow her tremendous work there. I'm so glad she got the Lorraine Motel renovated, because now
difference in my life. You may not know that. This is going to be my last term as city council. But I want to say thank you to all of you for making a difference in that case. And I also want to thank all my friends for being there and making a difference. You can receive an award, but you better realize how you really got there. You did not do it by yourself. I did not do this by myself. I thank you so much. I have enjoyed doing what I've been doing for the last approximately 39 years. As you talk about the 34 with Shelby County and 5 with the city of Memphis. It's a difference. Working with people will make you be humble. You see so much, and you see so much need. You realize how blessed you really are. And the only way we can continue to make a difference is still by keeping on helping someone else. So I said, thank you for the award, but take on a challenge. Take on a challenge and continue to help someone else along the way. Let me recognize one of my coworkers, Dr. City Council Person, Dr. Warren, Jeff Warren. He's here. I don't think I see. Okay, Casey. But again, thank you for this recognition. But again, it could only be possible with all these other people. Let me recognize my bishop, too. I see him sitting over there, Mara Frank Thomas. I guess you said Tyrone Davis is bad for a preacher to get a phone. Don't get a politician to phone me. I'm not going to phone me either, because we can't talk. It's so much we could talk about because it's so much that needs to take place. But again, thank you. Thank you for the recognition. Thank you.
Another round of applause for our recipients. And now the awards continue. To present the Ron Walter Preservation Award, oh, I can almost not read, Mr. Bob Barnett, Director of Family Services and Guest Experiences at Elmwood Cemetery. Bob has created innovative and interactive experiences to depict some of the lives of those at historic Elmwood Cemetery. His work is educational, innovative, and powerful. Please welcome Bob as he comes to present our Preservation Award honoree.
Mr. Ron Walker is a stalwart community leader and historian who has chronicled Memphis's African-American history, worked in the media, and has always supported the Zion Project. Following in his footsteps, Graham Perry has a diverse background in history, including civil rights history, the history of Tennessee music, and historical cemetery preservation. He has served as the curator of social history at the Tennessee State Museum and now works at the Tennessee Historical Commission and is the Historic Cemetery Preservation Specialist. In the past year or so, Graham has forged a relationship with Zion Community Project and helped secure expertise that provided demonstrations to help us better understand how to repair, clean, and level headstones, all of which are fundamentals of sound cemetery preservation. We look forward to what the future holds because we are working with knowledgeable and passionate individuals like Mr. Perry. Thank you for training and education that you're providing to the Zion Community Project. We look forward to continuing to tap you as an invaluable resource for our project. Congratulations, Mr. Perry, on being the 2023 Ron Walter Preservation Award honoree.
What to say, what to say? Well, I tell you what, I was born in Nashville, but Mary Unobsky once told me I was an amphibian because I lived down here long enough and grew gills. And I do like kind of liken myself to a catfish because I'm always cleaning up after everybody else, but it's including my kids. So I want to tell y'all, I had been wanting to get Jonathan Appel down here for a couple of years, and I'd been talking to Dr. Davis for that couple of years, and last year we couldn't quite get it scheduled. And this year, by gosh, we got it scheduled, and I wanted it to be at Zion because I wanted to compete with Van West, especially since he's on the commission. And yes, and I've known Beverly Robinson ever since I was at the Tennessee State Museum. So yeah, it's really good to know people, to live long enough to where you know a lot of people. Reverend Lysimba Gray, I remember you helped us get some artifacts having to do with Neshoba. I remember that. My connections to Memphis mean more to me than anything I can think of in Nashville because all my Nashville folks have gone spread to the wind, and all the people who are in Nashville now, I don't know who they are. I always tell everybody, yeah, I'm the last native Nashvilleian. And I remember how it was. I was born in '65, so I kind of remember back then. But Memphis is I don't even want to call it my second home. I want to call it my other home. I would like to say I really appreciate y'all giving me this award, but I will tell you the award to me goes for all of you who came out to the workshop, and I could tell everybody was moved, and I could tell that something really big was going to happen. And now the Zion Community Project is getting volunteers together to go out and clean the cemetery, headstones, and things like that. And boy, y'all got a lot of work cut out for you on a 13-acre plot. I can tell you that. One of my real hopes is that at some point maybe y'all can get a grant to do a GPR survey to maybe find out where those headstones are, because I know that there's a bunch of headstones under the ground out there. And maybe someday we'll find Benjamin Hooks' grandmother out there. I was the last person that did an oral history with Benjamin Hooks when he was still alive, and it was one of the most brilliant things that I've ever done in my life. I'm having a preacher preaching to you 3 feet away with that preacher voice, man. He had it. And I was very honored. I've been very honored to be a part of Memphis. I'm very honored that you chose me for this, although I didn't need an award to bring Jonathan Appel down here because, man, he's great. And I knew y'all had something special down here. You know you have something special down here, and it's only going to get more special over the years. And judging by how many people are out here at this event today, yeah, it's going to be nothing but sweet. Keep going and going. I would like to thank Patrick McIntyre, who's my boss, because I begged and pleaded with him, please, can I have the money to pay Jonathan Appel to come down here? And he finally said, yes, son, you can do that. So I do not have any budget in my particular position as historic preservation specialist. So that was really nice of them to do that. And I'm going to try to start having more workshops throughout Tennessee, and I'm going to connect everybody across the state, people with different expertises, people that have set up nonprofits for cemeteries and other people haven't and don't know how to do it. That's my job for the past 4 years, is trying to connect people and to get everybody in Tennessee helping each other to get these cemeteries nice and fixed up. All 36,000 that are in our database so far. How about that? All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it so much, and you guys do great work. And I'm going to put this trophy right next to my middle school basketball trophy that's on my desk.
Congratulations, Mr. Perry. The last award of the evening is the William Smith Legacy Award. Dr. Reginald Barnes, General Secretary of Personnel Services for the CME Church and Vice Chair of the Zion Community Project Board, will present this award. Dr. Barnes, please come to the stand.
The Reverend William Bill Smith, in whose memory this award is named, was an early champion of Zion. Reverend Smith was a longtime civil rights activist, and even in his retirement, he and his wife, Ms. Geraldine Smith, remained dedicated friends of Zion. Thus, it is fitting that our last honoree receive this prestigious award. Steadfast, passionate, and committed are the words used to describe Reverend Smith, and are the words that most appropriately apply to our next honoree, Dr. Warner Dickerson. Dr. Dickerson has been an exceptional public servant all his life. He's been a teacher, scholar, a college professor, a school superintendent, a civil rights activist, board chair of the NAACP, father, and dedicated husband for over 60 years. Dr. Dickerson has an incredible and lengthy tenure on the Zion board, serving on the board for more than 3 decades. He has seen the good, bad, and ugly, and is witnessing a remarkable renaissance to which he has and continues to contribute. He has served on virtually all the committees and is always the first to raise his hand in support of Zion. It is with a deep sense of gratitude that I present to you Dr. Dickerson with the William Smith Legacy Award. Mrs. Smith, will you come? Mrs. Smith, will you come and join us here? And as she comes, let's give her a round of applause as well.
I think enough has been said, but I hope you can agree with me in appreciating the wisdom that our forefathers had in Memphis during the climax and aftermath of the yellow fever, and due to the extreme practice of Jim Crow and racism, of not wanting us to be buried in the same cemetery or wherever we were being buried at that time. And we also had an epidemic of the yellow fever. Can you imagine what it was like for our people at a time like that? And I'm just happy that it occurred, and I think the CME Church for taking responsibility as an afterworth to continue to preserve this site and to make it even better as it is today, and continue to make it much better. Thank you.
And let's give one last round of applause to all of our recipients and honorees tonight. Well, the night is coming to an end. They definitely kept this show on the road, and I did my best to stay on time. But you all have been an amazing audience. I am grateful to have the opportunity to join you once again, and I look forward to continue my learning journey with Zion by securing one of those books right there in the back corner. So make sure you go check that out. They also have those polos back there. So again, stop by that table right there in that back corner. Now, As we wrap up the program, please enjoy the musical salute to our honorees by Mr. Johnny Walker and Mr. Gerald Yancey, followed by closing remarks from Dr. Davis and the closing prayer by Hermano Willis, pastor, Temple of Love CME Church and Zion board member. Thank you.
We have a last-minute emergency substitution here for the good players. I'm pretty sure this is a percussion instrument. Here's the second page here. We might do some handy music here if I can get these bifocals to work. Let's do it. Anything? How about D? Just paying them. I'm not taking any money. No money. No money. All right, bring the back door.
That's a tough act to follow. And you see, when you're the chair of the program committee, you can program yourself. And he did. Oh, my. And I'm going to keep on reading because I want us out of here by 8:30. My, what an evening we have had. Thank you, Cremitra, for an excellent job of leading us tonight. And to all the award recipients, please know that you are quite deserving. Thanks to all the participants who've gone out of their way to make this evening so meaningful, including our caterer, videographer, and webmasters. Because some of you don't know, but this is being streamed live on Facebook and YouTube. Yeah, I should have told you that earlier, right? Okay, before we close, I have one more giveaway presentation, and I had an announcement, but it's already been made, so I'm not going to repeat it. And I'm going to cut the preliminaries of my presentation, my giveaway, short. We have some people here tonight who didn't come from across town or uptown or downtown. They came a long ways away. Lyle Montgomery is here tonight with her brother Roy. She came all the way from New Orleans, Louisiana, to get some Memphis blues. Lyle, come on down. Lyle has been a longtime supporter of Zion, and we're so appreciative of your continued support even after she moved away. She's made sure we have received yearly contributions, and we're so honored that you chose to be with us tonight. Thank you so much. She even got her brother to buy a book last spring when we had our Thomas Moss dedication so she could keep up with what we were doing. But somebody came from even further away. Yeah, Barbara. All the way from Flint, Michigan. Come on, Sister Barbara, because she's come back again. And she's one of our VIP donors. Thank you so much. All right, the announcement I was going to make has already been made about the October 14th marker, so I would only say this 2 lines in follow-up. Our cemetery represents our history and tells the stories of how we have survived to see this day. Like chapters in our books, the graves in our cemeteries have stories to tell that we cannot afford to lose. Now, if you have enjoyed tonight's music, then you will want to come to the unveiling, because we will have Gerald Walker with the fiddle and another trumpeter on hand. One quick aside. A lot of we've talked about tonight has been about W.C. Handy, and we've talked about Elaine Turner and her work. Elaine has every year recognized W.C. Handy's birthday in November. This is the 150th anniversary of his birth this coming November. And they are in the planning stages for some great celebration. So as soon as the date has been confirmed, we're going to send the information out through our email addresses. So if we don't have your email address, please make sure that we get it so that we can share it with others. Again, thank you and have a wonderful evening as we close now with the prayer by Reverend Imano Willis. Reverend Willis, God bless you.
What a blessing it is to be here once again, and I hope that you have found a pleasing meal and a pleasing lesson and a pleasing experience for your time here. I offer to you the blessing that the Lord speaks to Moses to share with the people and to Aaron specifically. As you go, may the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace, both now and forever. In his holy name, amen.
All of the award recipients, if you could come down front, we'd like to get one picture of you together with your award. All award recipients. All the award recipients, would you please come down front so we can get a photo with you very quickly? That was the other announcement I forgot to write down. 1, 2. Sister Cheyenne. And where is Dr. Dickerson?